AI first agencies are literally becoming the new SaaS companies. You might have seen that Sequoia, other reputable startup incubators, and investors are talking about AI first agencies. Sequoia had this article. They talked about services as the new software. There's been a ton of conversation about AI first agencies. And so just to give you the high level point of view, you get pricing power, you get incredible gross margins, you have high revenue per employee, including the first ever $1 billion one-person company, also zero-person company. It's still technically managed by a person, but like that's actually something happening. And you're selling more of a product than a service. That's kind of like the high level. But to dig into it a little bit more, so the thesis is you sell the service as a service. So let's say that you charge $5,000 to build a website for somebody, and it costs you maybe $2,500 to deliver it. You have somebody who's helping you, and you have 50% margins on that. But instead of fulfilling it with a person on the back end, you can actually have agents that are fulfilling it on the back end. And so you sell it for $5,000, the same price point, but AI agents do the fulfillment instead of humans. An AI agent maybe costs 1/50th or 1/100th of what the human costs. So instead of spending $2,500, you spend $25 or $50 on basically tokens for these AI agents. They go and create the website and do just as good of a job. And so instead of making $2,500 in profit, you make $4,975 in profit, aka your margins are incredible. And then more importantly, you have little to no marginal cost, meaning right now, if I have a service-based business and I go from 10 clients to 12 clients, then my costs are going to increase probably 15 to 20% because I have fixed costs and I have variable costs. For every new client that I bring on, I need a writer to fulfill for that person. And so that costs me, say, $1,000 per month. So my costs go from $10,000 in variable costs to $12,000. However, if you have an agent that is fulfilling for an additional client, it might cost 1 cent, or it might cost 25 cents or $25 instead of $1,000 again. So you can add a bunch of customers. It costs almost nothing. And just as importantly, like it takes a lot of time to train up a human employee and make sure that they're operating at the level you need it to at the same quality every single time. Meanwhile, AI agents can produce the same quality from day one, assuming you have the materials in place and the training in place for the AI tool itself and the instructions and SOPs and so forth. Which means you can scale AI first agencies. So in the same way that software companies, you can just add infinite users. You create it once, you sell it twice, you sell it 1,000 times, you sell it 1,000,000 times. You can do the same thing with AI first agencies without worrying about the increased overhead. Sure, maybe there's a component where there needs to be a little bit more account management involved, more customer service, more customer support, but very, very different than agency is. It's much more SaaS, and the margins can be ridiculous, and you don't need a ton of employees to scale this up to serious numbers. Sequoia specifically, they kind of showed some of these different territories, like how big the industries are. So I'll open this up. If you want to pause, you can take a look at this. But what you'll notice here is this isn't just for marketing agencies, which is kind of how I'm framing this, because there has been a lot of discussion around marketing agencies in particular, but this applies to services in general. So recruiting, tax advisory, accounting and audit, IT managed services, like these are big industries. And if you're building AI first, meaning you approach it from how do I do this with AI instead of human labor, like there's probably going to be a lot of disruption in every industry in the next 10 years. So that's the thesis, that's the argument. Now the counter argument. So I'm not going to make a huge case for this, but the counter argument is that it's going to be a race to the bottom. It's going to be basically using AI agents is going to be extremely commoditized. And everyone not using it is basically going to go out of business. And everyone using it will go from that $5,000 price point to build a website to $4,000 to $3,000 to $2,000 to $1,000 to, if your costs are $25, maybe it's $100 to build a website, a nice website for you. And your pricing power's gone. Granted, you still have 75% gross margins in that case. And you basically can treat it like a software company. You can add infinite people and just know that you're not going to have the same crazy pricing power. But that's also makes like agency no different from SaaS. And so my personal take is that over the next 5 to 10 years, so 2031 to 2036, that there's going to be a big arbitrage window for those who are AI first. They're willing to get their hands dirty. They're willing to buy new tools. They're willing to try Claude Cowork and Claude Code and Lindy AI and Whisperflow and other tools as they become popular and come out. Just giving them a try, spending a little bit of time every week trying to adapt and use those, and reimagining your SOPs and your process with AI in the loop. So you break it apart into all of the various components and you say, where can AI step in here? And how can I get more leverage for my existing employees? How can I save time? How can I generate more dollars from my existing customers with less effort and have more leverage? And so I think there's going to be 5 to 10 years where the agencies and service-based businesses that lean into AI are going to have a heck of a ride, and they'll be able to charge that $5,000 price point with a $25 cost, or maybe if there's humans in the loop plus AI, maybe it's instead of $2,500, it's $1,000 cost, and you can massively improve your margins. You can scale your revenue and keep your headcount relatively similar. A lot of really cool opportunity here. I'm excited for it. I'm committing to spending at least a couple of hours every week to try and implement AI into my life, into my business, because it's going to make a massive difference. This is the opportunity of a century, I'd say. The internet feels like one of those. AI feels like another one. So highly recommend, if you're a service-based business, get on it. Start leveraging AI to help with your content, help with your ideation. I share a ton of ideas of how to leverage AI for better content to build your personal brand, generate a lot of leads and traffic and inbound employees. And so subscribe to the channel. I'll keep sharing that here. If you want to join my email list, I share a lot of tactical stuff there as well. Hope you like this. Very curious what you think will happen. Drop a comment. Would love to hear. Thanks.